Shortly after delivering a patient to an understaffed hospital, a police officer experiences strange and violent occurrences seemingly linked to a group of mysterious hooded figures. Directed by that guy you know, starring the guy from that other movie, a discount Matt Damon, and some woman actress, it's The Void. This week on a podcast from beneath.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. The unburied dead are coming back to life, seeking human victims.
As always, I'm here with Billy.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
And we have two special guests this week. So go ahead, special guests, announce yourself.
Well, I guess I will take the lead since my co-host isn't saying a whole lot of anything. You may recognize this voice, maybe not, but I am William Von Grimm, one half of the Poe and Grimm Podcast, and I am also joined along, like I said, co-host with this fucking guy.
Yeah, Mr. Poe. Well, I'm kind of used to you going first, you know. So
That's what she said.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Poe and Grimm Podcast. We are happy
in the hizzy.
Happy to be in the hizzy talking about this movie, talking about The Void.
Yeah.
We're here to fill the void, whichever, parlance you choose to use in that instance. Dirty. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I know Poe's excited. We're both happy to be
excited.
We are. And we just can't hide it. We're about to lose control, and I think I like it.
All right, so yeah, The Void. This movie came out in 2016. I first came across it on Netflix. I really liked it when I first seen it, but let's go ahead and give the microphone to. Let's go ahead and go with Mr. Poe. Tell us what you thought about this movie.
This movie, I really enjoyed it. It's been a while since I watched a movie, and it kind of captivated me in that sense where you're like, you kind of look at the screen like, am I seeing this right? I mean, this looks, crazy. And, I really enjoyed this little horror film, and I can't believe I hadn't seen it before, but, I enjoyed it.
I am of the same mind when it comes to The Void. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It qualifies just a few steps above the B movie category, but I think a lot of what keeps it above it is the unique story and some absolutely incredible practical effects all throughout the movie. Oh, yeah. I mean, crazy special effects. But I was a big fan of it. I originally heard about it. I think someone had reviewed it. One of the folks I follow on YouTube had reviewed it and said, go and check it out. It's on Netflix, and that's also where I first watched it and just waited for the 90 minutes to end so I could pick my jaw and whatever else fell on the floor back up.
And Billy, what'd you think about this movie?
I mean, I thought it was good. Special effects were, amazing. Only problem I have with this movie is some of the acting. Some of the acting kind of got to me. And, some of them, were really trying. But, I mean, I liked it. It reminded me of Hellraiser, and kind of also reminded me of that one short film. I can't remember who did it. Whatever, I can't remember. But, I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. Watching it for this episode, it was the second time that I'd seen it. Again, it reminded me of Hellraiser a little bit, but it also had that H.P. Lovecraft feel to it.
Well, lots of the Lovecrafty feels, and there's a dime a dozen, I guess, in that 90s time frame when they had Lovecraft movies coming out every other year. None of them good, mind you, but none of them terrible either. Dagon and the Necronomicon and
Reanimator, or not Reanimator, was it the Beyond?
Reanimator was good.
Yeah, Reanimator was good, yeah. From Beyond too.
I agree, man. I had that Hellraiser feel, but I also had it kind of reminded me of Event Horizon a little bit of taste of that, I think.
Which I think
definitely.
The effects.
And for me, I think some of the creature elements in there, especially the practical effects, whether intended or accidental, certainly paid homage to The Thing. Because, oh man, the practical, and I think maybe that's what I liked so much about the movie, is the practical effects, and it took me back to that place that John Carpenter had me at, that Clive Barker had me at in the 80s, with this real deal practical effects, crazy limbed creatures running around.
I think you just like seeing people being ripped from the inside out.
That's why my name is Grimm, and I like these horrible things, podcasts about horror movies.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure they spent like most of the money they made. I think they did a Kickstarter maybe or something.
Yeah, it was on Kickstarter.
Yeah, most of the money went to special effects.
I'm glad that it did, because I'm going to tell you right now, everything in this movie, as far as I can tell, was practical, and it was just spectacular.
Very, very few CG effects, and I actually did some homework before the episode. It was not on Kickstarter. It was on Indiegogo.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
The movie had a total budget, and this blows my mind still considering everything that went into it, but the movie had a total budget of $149,365, which is insane. Under $150,000 for a movie that delivered as well as it did. But the Indiegogo was created specifically for the special effects, and through Indiegogo they raised $82,510, and that went all to special effects.
Wow.
So more than 2/3, or at least 2/3 of this movie's entire budget went into making sure that it sold the special effects well, and they did. I mean, they did.
Yeah, they.
God, it was cool.
Oh yeah, there are movies because they're part of. You ever seen Father's Day? And Manborg.
Manborg.
Yeah, they're the same people, I'm pretty sure.
And they're part of a pretty famous special effects group themselves.
Yeah.
The directors Stephen Kostansky and Jeremy Gillespie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were part of the actual team that did the work for the creature effects on this movie, because this movie was shot around the same time and in a similar location to Suicide Squad. So the team that did the special effects, Oscar-nominated or Oscar-winning special effects for Suicide Squad, I think they won that Oscar for the special effects, did the special effects for this movie. Yeah. Because the two guys who write and direct, that's where most of their history is special effects or makeup and design.
Yeah, that's Steven. Go ahead. Oh, that Steven guy, he does the makeup effects for the new Star Trek show going on.
Oh yeah, Discovery. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think one of the directors, is the same person that directed the new Leprechaun film too, because everybody keeps talking about how the special effects in it are really good.
Steven, he did do it.
Which, I mean, they've got some talent in their hands, if I say so myself. They're part of the whole grouping of them is Astron 6, a Canadian film.
I know I want to hear how this madness all started, if Terry wants to kick us off with that. I know he likes to go from beginning to end, so
we can do that. So when the film opens, the camera's kind of going through the woods, little couple different cuts, and then we go into a house where we hear like a gunshot. And, a guy comes running out, and of course he runs away. And then a woman comes running out, and then two other guys come out and they shoot her in the back. Yes. And then our discount Matt Damon pours gas on her, and they set her on fire.
What do you think is the worst way to go out? Get caught on fire or drowning?
Well, and that was another thing. Mythbusters already said a lit cigarette can't.
Yeah. I wish movies would stop doing that. Well, I can think of one movie that got it right, and that was Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man was the only movie where I seen like, the
They got
guy
the right kind
tips his bike over and it slides over, it keeps skidding through there, and he has the cap off his gas tank, and he throws his lit Zippo to light it. And I was like, yeah, you got it right.
Yeah.
The only one.
But anyways, it's a movie, so Yeah, so they set on fire, and of course, at this point, we have no clue what's going on.
No, we do not. I must admit, some of this movie kind of lost me like towards the end a little bit, like plot wise. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we cut to our main actor, who is playing a sheriff.
Yes, Aaron Poole.
Aaron Poole, yes.
Yes, Aaron Poole.
And
And he's just setting his cruiser on the side of the road, talking to dispatch. And I guess he's getting ready to maybe clock out when he sees the guy that come out of the house come running out of the tree line and into the road.
Crawling.
Yeah, he thought he was like a drunk teenager or something.
Right.
which I guess is common out there in them there woods.
Yes.
There ain't much going on.
I mean, we've seen, all of us gentlemen, we've seen enough horror movies to know that them there woods have two things in them. Horny drunk teenagers and killer tings. Whatever them killer tings be, they're there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'd have left that kid alone. I'd be like, fuck him.
Like I say, I'm clocking out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He might have if he had just been a regular drunk guy, but when he turns him over and he's all bloody and fucked up, I guess he's kind of got a job to do now.
Yeah.
I would
Protect
have just pulled up beside him, like, "Hey, you okay?" And if he didn't answer, I'd be, all right, catch you later.
You would make a horrible cop, Billy.
I would.
Dispatch, this guy's got a gun.
Yeah, this guy's gotta go.
So he
Yes,
puts him in the cruiser. Yeah, he puts him in his cruiser. And of course, I guess he has to radio back in to ask what hospital he's taking him to. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that reason here in a minute. And then he goes to the hospital. It just kind of cuts to him going, showing up at the hospital.
Which is obviously, it's a small hospital. It's a teeny. It reminds me of the original hospital that we used to have back in the day in our little hometown of Del Rio. Tiny little 2-story,
Yeah.
3-story hospital. Just, I mean, skeleton crew all the time. Not just because everybody's transferring out to the newer hospital.
Hey, Kerry,
Yeah, so
isn't that Montgomery Hospital? What he just described?
It very well could be. Yeah, so he shows up, and of course it's a skeleton crew. And of course we find out later that I guess the basement part of the hospital had caught fire.
Yeah, were they
So
leaving the
they're-
whole hospital, or were they
Yeah.
just like?
I think they were moving out of that building into a new facility. So that's why
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people there right now.
And they didn't, much. And, I think it served the story and it served the smaller budget well in explaining why they didn't have as much equipment around as was needed or necessary, why they didn't have a full-sized, dispensary of medicines. It was
Yeah.
very bare bones.
Right.
Did they even explain how the hospital caught fire in the basement?
You find out at the
end, I think, yeah.
No, but like during I know that, but like during that time when they're moving people and all that stuff.
Maybe electrical, maybe.
Like the rave got a little out of hand. The Christmas
Right.
rave got out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's implied, but it's not outright said. It is certainly implied, with something that we'll get to without, going straight spoiler at the start.
Yeah.
I think it's implied. I think. Don't quote me, because this movie does have some. It leaves you with some questions. As much as I enjoy it, I was left with some questions, but I think that's part of its charm.
For sure.
Yeah, so whenever he takes this guy into the hospital, and I guess he meets up with one of the nurses comes out to help him, and I'm not sure if we find out now, we find out eventually that that's his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And so it's her, another nurse, a younger woman who I guess is like a trainee,
Yeah,
whatever you call them now.
like a nurse's aide or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess
She's
like a main, yeah, and then I guess like a main doctor.
Like the only doctor.
Yeah.
The only man, that town is screwed.
Dr. Powell. Dr. Powell, who's been in some movies. This guy's been in a number of movies, actually. He's got an incredibly familiar beard. He didn't have a beard in this movie, but he's got one in life now. But Kenneth Welsh is his name, and he's been in Twin Peaks, and
Yeah.
I mean he's been in The Aviator. He's been in a whole shit ton of movies in the reality of things.
Time Cop.
Yep, good old Time Cop. Working Girl with Harrison Ford and Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffith.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, I got it.
Melanie Griffith.
Boy, is he just repeating everything I said?
Yeah.
Well, you got it cut out on my end, so I didn't hear.
Okay, I didn't know. But yeah, no, he's in a hell of a lot of salud, bless you, and all the above. He's in a whole bunch of stuff, and I guess he's probably the most. Like, I mean, he's the oldest, one of the oldest actors there, but he was certainly the highest
Paid.
caliber, probably the highest paid, but the highest caliber actor they had on set, and his acting was probably the best of the bunch, which is his character. We'll get to that, but I liked the Doctor, Dr. Powell.
Yeah. So next we meet the nurse that's in training. I think her name was Kim.
Yeah,
and
she's
she's talking to another patient. They almost act like they may know each other. Outside of the hospital. Yeah.
Miss Maggie.
Yeah.
Which was with the two other characters they're just, and I kind of like how they did this, but they were just kind of passed over for all intents and purposes, but they're made somewhat significant because the young girl is pregnant. I mean, this girl looks like she's probably 16 or 17, something like that. She looks young, but she's there with her father, and I mean, about to pop. Super pregos.
Oh yeah.
Super pregos. But that's Maggie and her grandpa.
I don't even think he had a name. Probably just Grandpa.
Probably just Grandpa. Yeah.
Yeah.
His name was Ben. Ben. Ben.
We know him as Grandpa. He wasn't important.
Yeah, I don't even think they even said his name.
No, they didn't.
No, he's just listed as Ben in the post credits, in the credits, not the post credits, and the actual credits. There's no post credits in this thing. They didn't have them.
Go ahead.
Oh, so they didn't have money for post credit scene in this movie.
Yeah. No, I when they first get to the hospital, I mean, it's freaking crazy. They got a lot of stuff going on. The guy he brought in starts, having a seizure and all that other good stuff. But what caught my eye is they pan to the nurse's aide, and she's talking to some teenager that he's in bed and he's watching Night of the Living Dead on TV. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, man, it blows my mind how long ago that movie came out. And rest in peace, George Romero, just because it's awesome. But that movie came out so long ago with everything that he did. It's part of the public domain. You can go remake Night of the Living Dead if you wanted to.
Well, and that just shows to me how much these guys love their horror movies and how we all, took pretty much the same thing out of it. The elements of, those different movies we mentioned, like Hellraiser or Event Horizon. I mean, these guys watch this stuff, The Fly, The Thing, and, Night of the Living Dead. They're all, you know what I mean? They're all those are like meshed into this crazy madness of a movie, and that's why I just love it.
Well, also, if you think about it, the significance of showing that are watching Night of the Living Dead is these people are trapped in a hospital, and with another character that comes in later, with two other characters come in later, there's tension between the group.
Yeah.
Just like in Night of the Living Dead, you had the tension between everybody's, trapped in this, whether it's, the hospital or a house, and they're all trying to survive, but they can't seem to get along with each other long enough to survive,
I like those movies that are close quarters. Like, they're not very too many locations, or mostly in like one location. I think those movies are has the best tension, I think.
Yeah, I agree. If you can still build tension when your movie is incredibly spaced out, then, props to you. But it definitely serves a purpose, and the parallel between the two movies is, I would like to think, I hope that they did it with that intention that people would pick up and be like, hey, all right. Because it's there,
Yeah, and also they're, both movies, this movie and I have a reason why the people can't just leave the facility that they're in.
Yeah.
The Triangle Clan is outside.
Yeah.
Which, let me say something real quick about that group. As many parallels as they may, draw to another white-robed organization, these fucking guys are creepy as shit, and they show you they ain't fucking around. They mean business.
Well, that scene with the cop when he goes out, he, after I'm kind of skipping ahead because all the craziness went loose, and he ran to his police vehicle, and he gets on the radio and he sees that that one singular figure. I love how they did that, man. They just come out of the darkness and you can kind of see their outline a little bit, and then when they fully come out, you're like, and then he even goes, "Who the fuck are you? And what are you doing here?" And that was awesome.
It was Dawn of the Dead sprinting on shit. That's a good bit.
Yeah, so after they get his I guess his prisoner, we'll call him, after they get him subdued and ready to go, just kind of just character development, which we find out later is his ex-wife, brings him coffee and kind of chit-chatting.
She told him that she's fucking his brother.
It turned into Jerry Springer. Also.
Yeah.
And then he says, "But I don't even have a brother."
Right.
He puts on a fake mustache. Oh my god, it's you.
Oh
man.
But I think something makes him go, I guess he goes in that room for some reason, and we just see that nurse standing over the bed.
No, it wasn't right. It was right after he went and subdued, when they got subdued, when they subdued that guy. Because I think they talked first, him and his wife. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The nurse and him. Yeah, you're right.
Then they heard the noise, or he heard commotion.
Yeah, and he goes in there, and the nurse is just kind of standing over the guy's bed.
Yeah, and then, he's walking out, and then he hears.
Yeah.
He's like,
and then whenever the camera cuts to the reverse shot, so we can see the other side, this nurse she's slowly pulling scissors out of that guy's eyeball.
I mean, straight up to the handle too, because that
was probably Billy's favorite scene.
That was super slowly out them eyeball, and I mean, they held on that shot for a good 3 or 4 seconds to let you know that, that hurt. That hurt a lot. And whatever the fuck's going on with this lady, it ain't right either.
She smoked some bad meth.
Yeah.
She was tearing the skin off her face, and she's like, "It's not me." It's
yeah,
right.
It's not, yeah.
Sure, okay, it's not you.
But that's the one thing I questioned was what possessed her for what.
At first I thought it was like, is that guy's blood contaminated? I thought maybe she got that guy's blood on her. At first I was like, maybe that guy's blood just turns people crazy.
I love the sheriff's explanation, like the the cop or the deputy we saw earlier, he comes out and the sheriff's there and he's like, I'm here now and all this. And they said, well, this just happened. Can you explain that? He's like, well, he's a known drug user. And I'm like, well, what does he think you do? Just blew cocaine in her face? I mean,
Yeah.
like, take that.
Yeah, because we should go back because she comes at the cop with the scissors and he shoots her.
And that fucking blows his mind. He does what most normal people would do when you shot and killed somebody in the fucking face. You go up, punch.
He said this a lot. I gotta call it in. I gotta call it in.
He kept saying it. No, I like that. I like they did that in that movie. Is you can tell that dude, his character has never like fired his weapon and killed someone.
Right.
I love how they incorporated that in there. That was
this
cool.
is I can't imagine that the town that they're in is big. Like he probably just deals with like Otis the drunk every week.
Yeah, like the biggest thing that's ever happened there is like the mayor's dog like went missing. That was it.
On the 10 o'clock news, the mayor's dog ran away again.
Everybody's had a panic.
And you know what? But I guess that's one thing that I also liked about the movie is it didn't give you any idea where it took place. They just named the hospital, and there was a state trooper there, but they didn't indicate any specific locale. It didn't give you a proximity to this city or that city. It lets you decide where.
It was any town USA.
Exactly.
I thought it was Mayberry, like they just like rebooting Andy Griffith or something.
Yeah.
And he's possessed.
Dead my dog.
Yeah, so I guess he's trying to call it in or whatever, and he has
I gotta call it in.
Yeah, I gotta call it in. I guess the phones aren't working. I noticed no one had cell phones, so I don't even know what year this is supposed to take place in either.
I was curious about that too. There were no cell phones. There were no, all of the phones in the hospital were, they looked like they were the late 80s, early 90s phones. They were all big and bulky.
They all had cords.
Had the big old rectangular buttons sticking off of them. Yeah.
This was like the smallest like town in the USA. It's like 2 months ago, we just got a stoplight. Like
it's probably it's probably. I was gonna say it's probably the same town from Don't Kill It.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's where the stoplight. Yeah.
Wait a minute, did they tie in?
Yeah.
Something I noticed whenever he went to go use that phone in the lobby, and I thought it was I don't know if it was intended or, maybe it was just a clever, it's a clever movie tactic, but this will give an idea as to age of the movie, but there's a fucking radio there next to the phone, and an older looking radio at that. We weren't talking no new Sony Trinitron, whatever. Older one. But it had a staticky kind of strange feedbacky noise going through there. That it reminded me of the original Silent Hill game. Whenever you got close to evil, that I can't even. But I don't know if they intended that or if it was just a cheap and easy movie tactic. But it looked cool as hell, or it sounded cool as hell.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so he ends up he has to go to his cruiser to like radio it in.
Which brings us to the part that Poe was talking about earlier.
Yeah. So he goes out, he gets in his car, he's trying to radio it in, and what's he see? Go ahead, Mr. Poe, tell us what he sees.
He sees one of the triangle people.
These are the guys. He's in a full white robe with a white hood. It's not pointed though; it's rounded off on top, and it just has a black triangle on the face.
Some of the craziest, most dedicated Pink Floyd fans you have ever seen.
Yes.
I wish the tagline was, if you're not scared of triangles, you will be.
This is before they got a hold of the joints and mellowed out. I mean, this dude, he come out of the...
We're still on that crazy Mandy acid right now.
That's right.
No, and I guess we'll call him the Triangle Cult or whatever kind of cult member. Full garbs comes out of He just slowly comes out of the wooded area over by the hospital. You have the deputy. He looks out of his cruiser. He looks over and asks him, "Who the fuck are you?" or "What the fuck you're doing?" or something like that. And the person attacks him.
Well, let me go back because like whenever he sees the one, and then it kind of cuts away, and it almost looked like when it cut back that you could kind of see these all the other ones kind of like fade in, almost like they didn't come out of the woods, but they just materialized. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of that's the way it looked to me. And they all stand there, and they're all standing there facing him. And in their right hand, they all have a knife, and they all turn them to point them out the same way.
That was a hell of a knife.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what that meant. Like they're all just like, they all turn their knives and point them in one direction, and that's when one of them, comes and attacks him, and of course, stabs him.
Yeah,
they're all the same person.
I actually thought it was going to be lights out for that dude. I mean, that person was really determined to kill him.
Yeah,
that was a deep, slow stab. That was like the fucking Saving Private Ryan slow stab. It was just, and she took him, or they took him inside. He got back inside and collapsed. And that dude, I thought he was gonna fucking die too. With as much blood was straight squirting out of his fucking chest. I mean, it was almost comical. It was almost comical.
Yeah.
And then he had an acid flashback.
Yeah.
He did start having visions.
Yeah.
Well, we'll call them the Mandy flashbacks because that's what it reminded me of big time.
Yeah, and then he wakes up he was like tripping out, like seeing this dark sky with, I guess, like a storm. It looked like.
And you could see like a triangle, like a black triangle, forming, in the sky.
Big black wasteland, looked like obsidian or coal or black sand or something like that.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
And then,
so he when he comes to, I guess they're they've got him, he's stitched up or whatever. They're still laying there, and they still have him on the floor.
Which not as much blood as I thought there would have been before.
I noticed that too.
And it had me wondering at points in time throughout this movie, especially because something that they bring up and certainly address later, that reality is starting to change. Things that should be in certain places aren't in certain places. Hallways that don't exist are there now. Doors that should be there are not. I wonder if all of that excessive blood was maybe a hallucination brought on by the supernatural events that are happening around everyone.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he woke up. He was like, I gotta call it in.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, just
what's the calling in with this guy? Stop it.
He's by the book. He's straight on it. But thank God he lived. Because he became a Billy Badass after that.
Yeah, that wound in his arm, it was nothing.
Right?
Not compared to what happens to him later.
Yeah.
He got stabbed in the fucking heart, it looked like. But, yeah, I'm fine.
Almost.
Rub some dirt on it. Can of corn, I'll be fine. Can of corn.
I gotta call it, I'll be okay, alright?
Yeah, so at this point, is this when our prisoner, I guess, kind of escapes and grabs Kim?
Well, we're
You're jumping ahead. I was
Am I jumping ahead?
Just a little bit.
How he gets the prisoner loose is
he kicks that. Yeah.
They hear super commotion and run back to the room that they had handcuffed the guy who still don't know anything about. They handcuffed him to one of the hospital beds and go in there, and this fucking crazy creature kind of looked like a less, not as big version of whatever that creature was in The Faculty, the slug shooting monster thing, but the nurse's face on the front of it and a bunch of tentacles, and it was just fucking ugly. But it's trying to get this guy for whatever reason. It wants him. We'll find out some sort of reason of it later, but it wants this guy.
Yeah, because when I saw that creature, and whenever it's laying there and the tentacles are kind of flipping around, remind me of that toy you had as a kid that you hooked your water hose up to,
Yeah.
and it would smack you on your legs,
That thing hurt.
Here, go have fun with that. No, fuck that. I'll just take the regular hose, please.
When I saw that creature, I don't know if y'all said the same thing, because I'd never seen it, so I watched it and I was like, holy shit. I was like, what the hell is this thing?
Got that nurse's face on it.
I actually said that out loud. Holy shit.
It looks like a Metroid on a real bad day.
Right.
But yeah,
goes up to this point, we've only had, just the guys in the robes, and then all of a sudden you're hit. Well, I mean, you had the nurse that, was kind of crazy, but nothing like this,
Not like creature was.
We did, in fairness, we did kind of jump over it. They hinted that something was not quite right a little bit earlier on, before he went outside to make that call on the radio.
To call it in.
He called in.
You see the nurse, they kind of do a quick sweeping shot over the nurse, and that's when she had those things coming out of her face and her eyes, and a really, really cool practical effect shot. The tentacles starting to come out of her mouth from, I don't know where she was shot, and just its natural creature becoming. But that is kind of where you started to see something otherworldly start to happen. Yeah. And it was from there that creature grew and, tried to get our meth head guy, whoever the fuck this guy. Right. I don't remember his name, but surviving druggie. We'll call him surviving druggie, non-burned drug addict.
All right.
So then they get him and they chain him up.
Well, no, that's what happened earlier. They chained him up because they wanted him there, and then they had to bust him loose because this creature's at him. And they were all huddled in the lobby, and the guy freaked out because all this shit was going down. So he grabbed the pregnant girl, and he had her with the scalpel.
Oh, that's right.
Scalpel, yeah, he was gonna.
I don't even know how the fuck he got a scalpel, but I guess it got kicked over.
It showed him pick it up.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, he scrambled around and got it while everybody's arguing.
Got her fucking hostage, and the doctor doing all his best bit trying to prevent this shit going to town. Our state troopers, they've got him all at gunpoint, but that's really not going to do much. He's going to kill this poor girl if you shoot him, or you're going to shoot her, one of the two.
You know who we missed? The sheriff dude, the old man.
Well, he really hasn't done a whole lot, but he, other than admonish our character Carter, your father would be disappointed in the way you handled this.
You didn't even call it in. You would have called it in already.
He said, "What would your father think of this shit show?"
Yeah.
And little did he know that it was gonna get a whole lot worse than what he's seen.
He was like, "You mind if I call it in?"
We're gonna need to call this in.
Yeah.
Radio don't work. Can't sit here.
Yeah.
Everybody was fucking freaking out, and I mean, he's kind of a non-character. He doesn't really he doesn't do much. He doesn't do much other than to throw a wrench into the plans as they were working somewhat now, to take our main fucking character's gun away because he had to fucking shoot that nurse lady. And
when did the father and the son show up?
Here in a second.
After the shit hit the fan, at least what most people would believe to be shit hitting the fan, and our fucking meth drug addict guy, well, he doesn't get our pregnant gal because old Dr. Powell takes a bit of stabby for him, and he got fucking stabbed in the neck real ugly style.
He did.
His face was great. That's an actor right there.
He's dead, Dr. Powell.
Oh, there was a lot of blood. He's definitely dead.
Kind of remind me of Dick Van Dyke, that show that he played in. Is it Dick Van Dyke, that hospital?
No, it's Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, that's it. That's how I was constantly.
This was a very disturbing episode of that show.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of tentacle creatures, and Dick Van Dyke got stabbed in the neck.
This is
An
the
unaired
Jump the Shark
episode.
episode.
Yeah, this is the unaired episode.
We gotta get the younger viewers.
Yeah.
Somehow they crossed over with Perry Mason. I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury shows up.
Yeah.
You know what? She's not dead. She is still alive.
I'm surprised her character in the show, like, somebody's like, you are just a nosy fucking bitch, and just kill her.
No, I just assume she's the killer in all of them. That's why she does it.
She's just the angel of death, guys. I mean, she shows up, people die.
She's still alive.
Yeah, she's a witch.
Murder She Wrote because she was writing the book on it.
Yeah, she did the murders.
So back to the Void.
Yeah.
So in the Void, Angela Lansbury shows up.
Yeah. And she's topless.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No, she shows up at the end of the movie.
She's the last thing the two characters see.
And I'll let you draw a conclusion as to whichever character you think would be Angela Lansbury, and you can.
Yeah.
But no, that's when the rest of our fucking hooded triangle guys, our Dark Side of the Mooners, were starting to, I guess, surround the fucking hospital and basically say you're not going anywhere.
You're stuck.
Oh yeah.
Well, is this when the dad and the son show up?
Yes.
Yeah.
They like fought their way inside.
What you hear?
Fighting?
Well, you hear some gunshots, which I guess fighting. You know, these assholes got knives. They got guns. It's not a lot of fighting.
Well, they move real slow, and they're like standing in a line or something, and it's like, what kind of fighting did you do? I mean, you probably just shot one and ran past all of them because they weren't running.
Maybe they were capoeira experts, and like in that movie, Only the Strong. So it takes a while for them to get over. They're gonna start kicking and flipping to get at them. But no, I love these characters who are. That is their name in the movie. They are credited as father and kid or son. I think it's kid, father and kid.
Right.
Because you don't learn until a little bit later on that that's actually his son, but it's the father and the kid. They show up in it. Shit. Talk about mistrust and distrust and nobody trusted nobody.
Yeah.
They come in and they start wrecking some shit.
Yeah, father hard ass and the mute son. I think he's mute. Or what?
I think he got his I guess he got his throat cut, so now he can't talk.
Or something.
Or make noise out of his mouth.
Or he got bitten. I mean, he does talk later in the movie, but
does he?
I never heard it.
Well, I'll bring up when he talks when we get a little further on.
All right.
Yeah, no, he's definitely bandaged in the neck, and he's not saying anything. He's, I'll offer my thought as to why I don't think he said anything for a while. But he ain't saying shit. But Father's definitely kicking ass. I would have liked to see, Father and Grandpa Ben team up to fuck these things up, just because them two old guys, they know what they're doing. Grandpa Ben knocked our fucking, our stab Dr. Powell in the throat guy, our drug addict guy, and knocked him the fuck out with one shot.
Oh yeah.
He just straight deboed him.
You got knocked the fuck out.
He did. But they come in and they want to start running the fucking show, but no. This is somebody else's show. And speaking of, I was turning it over to you because it's somebody else's.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, did everybody disappear? Or did I have a heart attack? What the fuck?
I was like, Jesus Christ, it's 7 seconds a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, so like what I kind of liked about the father and the son character is we don't get a huge scene of exposition of them telling everybody what's going on.
I know you saw him in the beginning, him
Well, I know, but any other movie.
Yeah, I mean
they
that's
would've
it. Yeah, I
been,
mean that's
"Hey,
all you
let's-
know about them.
Let's catch everybody up on. No, they're just we're here for one reason, and we're not talking. We don't have to tell anybody why we're here.
Any other movie, they would have spent like the next X amount of minutes tending their wounds and retelling the story with some sort of flashbacks. The first time we came across this evil, it took our cat.
Right.
I think the reason they didn't do that is there was no campfire available. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They didn't have.
Have y'all ever heard of Angela Lansbury?
They'd already moved the water cooler to the new
Yeah.
facility, so they didn't.
they didn't have anywhere to group.
Yeah.
They'd be over the doctor's corpse.
They're not comfortable chairs in the waiting room, so no, they come to town and say, "Fuck you."
Want this guy.
Yeah, we
so
want.
is the other sheriff? Is he still around at this point?
Yeah, he's still
during,
around. Yeah.
Okay.
During all
so,
that fighting and all that, yeah.
And
Yeah,
this
he's
is
still-
whenever, so they're all, I guess, kind of in that waiting room area, and this is when the pregnant girl starts going into, I guess,
Pre-labor.
start giving birth. Yeah.
My water broke. Uh-oh. At least we got water now.
Yeah.
Well, the father he hits he hits a deputy. Got to call it in. He hits him with a shotgun. I'm pretty sure in the face, doesn't he?
Rifle or whatever. the fuck
Yeah,
it-
because they're
Yeah, I believe so,
arguing
yeah.
a little bit.
He butts
Because
him.
because they want he said we want that dude.
Yeah, he's in my custody.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, fuck, you can have him.
All right, I'll call it in. Fuck. All right. Got it.
Yeah. So, like, whenever she starts going into, I guess starts having birth or whatever. This is when they decide, like, the nurse tells them they have to go get medicine or whatever, but it's in it's in the other part of the hospital, and our main character tells the father and the son, "I've got a shotgun and ammo in my cruiser. It's just right outside the door. We're going to go get it. Right? You guys are going to go with me." So when they go outside, for some reason his car is now farther away than it was before.
Which I thought might have been some of the fucking reality warping shit happening again.
Right.
They're no longer in control. That or the guys who were part of the fucking Pink Floyd cult have a real sick sense of humor. They're like, "Oh, you want this thing? We're not going to take it away from you. We're just going to drive it another 35, 45 feet over there."
Wait, didn't the
Go for it.
old sheriff guy die before this, or did he die after this?
I think it was. For some odd reason, I want to say it was before this, but it could have been after. That scene seems like it would have come. I think it came after. You know what? You're right. It came before this.
Yeah, because when it was about to attack that druggy dude,
Yeah.
he shut the door. He got him and he shut the door. He didn't do nothing else to it. I
Yeah.
guess it got loose, and that's the one that grabbed the sheriff. The same monster tried to kill the druggy dude.
Yeah, and it dragged the sheriff off, and that's when the son and the father went. They chased it, and they shot it, and its second brain or whatever came out. And just real.
Yeah, the kid hit it with an axe.
Yeah, the scene was a shade more tense because our deputy Carter got a fire axe, and he ended up giving it to the kid, or the kid took it away because with the other sheriff gone, Carter ain't got shit. He ain't got no gun. He ain't got no knife. He ain't got no nothing. He got nothing. So the other two assholes with more guns or whatever take the weapons and they go after the fucking creature. And it was after that they went out to the car.
Yeah, they ended up killing it, and then they like kind of talked to us like, hey, you're gonna help me you can have the shotgun because we're out of ammo.
Yeah.
That's when they go out and his car's farther away. Okay.
Yeah. So they go there. He gives the son the keys of the trunk, tells him to get the ammo, and he's got to get the shotgun from inside the cruiser. And he gets in there, and he seems to take a while. I don't know what he starts doing when he first gets in there.
He's calling it in.
Is he calling it in? Okay.
Finally.
Well,
No, but he looks in the glove box for some reason. I'm not sure why.
So-
Maybe another gun, maybe.
Well, in those older, and if this movie took place in the later 80s, early 90s, like it seems like it does, those older shotgun or older dash locks were a pain in the ass because you couldn't really keep the key on yourself or whatever. So sometimes they'd keep the key lock for that in the dashboard, or sometimes it'd have an electronic lock. You have to push the little button and then it would unlock it. Actually helped install one of those one time, but usually the key was a separate key and you unlock it and then he could get the shotgun out. It was taking his fucking time though. You're right about that because our hooded friends, they swarm in quickly.
Yeah, they show up. And he finally gets the shotgun. Like I said, the son's getting the ammo. He got some flares.
Which they foreshadow well with those flares. They'll pay off in a little while. But he almost fucking bit the big one. The son did, because there was some cultist about to fucking stab him straight in the neck.
Blocks it. His hand or his arm or whatever takes it.
Yeah, it cuts his hand. Yeah.
And for his troubles, this guy takes a 12 gauge, hopefully just regular buckshot blast to the chest, but it could have been slugs for all we know. But it blew him a good 3 or 4 feet back. I really dug that shot. That was that's a little realistic.
And he said, "I'm keeping the gun."
I'm keeping the gun. Yeah, no, I like that line. Fuck yeah, I would too. I ain't giving this shotgun up. It just blew one of them Colts. We're keeping it.
Yeah, I thought something was going to happen to the boy, because remember he got cut by the... I thought those people in the robes were like somebody's blood was causing, because they cut the boy's hand, and then like when he got it bandaged up, they kind of like did another camera shot of him holding his hand or something. So I thought he was going to change for the longest time.
Yeah, no, they definitely implied that. But, really the rules of what's going on and how's this going on and, like, why the hell did the nurse turn into something, but some of these other people that have been killed haven't turned into anything? A lot of the rules are kind of out the window up until this point, and there wasn't much going on, except, at this time when these guys are out trying to get the shotgun, old Carter's wife did what he told her not to do.
As you always do in a horror movie.
Absolutely. And went to go get meds for our Prego lady. And, well, there's a reason you don't do that.
Because diagnosis murders are going to get you.
No shit. So, yeah. Would you care to tell us? Would you care to tell us? But would you care to tell us, Carrie? I almost to do some rhyming, some limerick.
All right. Yeah, so she gets captured.
A familiar voice, sort of familiar. He sounded kind of raspy. Oh, Dr. Powell, back from not dead.
He's not dead.
I thought maybe he faked it, like.
He faked getting stabbed in the neck?
Yeah. He's like, I know this guy. I know this guy up and down. I know he's going to stab me in the neck.
He had
like a fake blood pack.
Yeah, it was a ketchup packet.
Yeah.
Right, just like in Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. But no, he's certainly, once you see him later, you certainly find out he did not fake shit.
Right.
He kind of has a look standing there in the door like he ain't all that right. Kind of bloody, kind of gray. Really gray.
When they come back in, he finds out that I guess her name is Allison.
Yeah.
Found out that she had, went ahead and went to get the medicine. That he talks the father into going with him, right, to go find her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those two will go. They elected to leave. I don't remember what the fuck happened to Grandpa Ben, but he's
still there. Yeah, he's still there with his granddaughter.
Well, he he was a non-character through so much. I guess he was just intent on protecting her, but Miss Wong or Miss Kim was not happy about being left behind. I remember he left a pistol with the doctor with the Grandpa Ben.
And then he left an axe.
Yeah.
He gave him the pistol and set the axe down.
Yeah.
And then him and the father, and actually I think the son went with them too. It was them three.
Yeah, the son was there, yeah.
Them three went out and went to go get her back because he got a phone call. They were searching for some shit. They went to the doctor's office.
Well, no, they go to the room first where the medicine's at, because that Kim tells them where the medicine's at. They go in there. The father starts filling up his bag with like alcohol and I guess some bandages or whatever. And Daniel, which is the main character's name, he sees the trash bag that she was putting medicine in, so he picks it up. Now they're looking for her. When they go out in the hallway, that's when they hear a phone ringing from what is the doctor's office.
Well, don't they grab the old sheriff dude's gun?
I don't think they got that just yet. They didn't get that till they went down below into the basement level.
So when they go into the doctor's office and he answers the phone,
from the morgue.
Yeah, it's coming from the morgue.
Hello, Dad.
Yeah, and it's the Dr. Powell that's on the other line, telling him that he has Allison. And then at the same time, on the desk, there's like a little lockbox that the father opens up, and he finds
crazy shit.
He finds pictures of the guy that they were after, the prisoner guy, some various naked bodies,
some sexy things going on, some sort of orgy, one would assume, and then just a random picture of meth head.
Yeah, and then one of the pictures is one of the cloaked figures, and then there's a picture of a brown door with the triangle painted on it.
Which you kind of see a door. I don't know that. I want to assume that it's the same door just because they highlight it here in a little bit, but that door you see in the beginning of the movie looks exactly the same. I know they have another door that you'll see painted similarly here in a little bit, but I feel as though that picture of that door was the same one at the farmhouse.
Right. And then he finds a book. There's a book in there also that has, some writings in it, some spells, drawings, triangles, all that stuff in it.
Some old ancient Kandarian incantations about bringing the dead back to life.
Yes.
Latu Varata Necro.
The Necronomicon was in there.
Yeah. Almost. I mean, it almost could have been that, but it had a lot more of the triangular sigil and whatever that pyramid is meant to represent. Which, I mean, across many, many religions and philosophies, that, the triangle symbol represents so much. Even in Christianity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It represents a number of things. The Trinity, the three equal sides. It represents a lot, but it doesn't allude to very much in this movie what it is, and I dug that.
Yeah,
he's just in the pyramids.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of the Bengals.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm just really into Egyptian culture, guys. Okay, just leave me be.
I don't want to sound weird or anything, but I really like pyramids.
Yeah. Oh, is that a Forgasmo? I don't sound like anything, but I think the Depeche Mode kick ass.
I don't sound gay or anything, but I think unicorns are awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, that is exactly what this is from. Thank you for recognizing my orgasm reference. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
But back to the boy.
Back to the movie here. So then it cuts to the morgue where we see what's her name? Allison laying on a slab, and she's
nearly dead.
Body's covered up, and she comes to, and we hear the Dr. Powell,
Dr. Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Don't
talking to-
worry, Allison. It's all part of the plan.
And he's standing, over by one of the sinks. And we
Cutting
can tell
his
he's
face
doing,
off.
we can tell he's doing something to his face. Obviously, he's, he'll reach up with both hands and then he'll throw down a piece of skin. And
he gets under her skin. He's like, "You want to see your dead baby again?" Like he's like crying. It's like, goddamn, dude.
I want to show you the best movie I've ever seen. He wants to take his face off.
He's talking. He goes, "You know how I saved on car insurance."
By taking my face off.
Taking them.
But I think previously he had talked when he was on the phone with Daniel. He had talked about, I guess, his daughter. He
I
lost his
was
daughter.
quite a bit. I was sad when my daughter died. And
He had a conversation with Daniel earlier on. Whenever, actually, the scene just before Daniel went to go shoot the nurse in the face. He when his wife brought him coffee, they were in there talking. They had an argument about him thinking that she was being too emotional because the other girl and being pregnant, and her being emotional because they, their big plot twist in this situation is they were going to have a baby and their baby died in the womb. So they were strained, and that's how their relationship had so much strain because of that, the loss of their baby. And that's, when the doctor was consoling him about that, because I guess it was this doctor that had helped her in that situation, or was her doctor. I don't know, maybe he was the delivering OB, who knows, was telling him of the story of how difficult it was to deal with the loss of his daughter, who I guess she drowned, or I don't remember if they elaborated on the death of his daughter, but she died. She was dead. So, and that's his motivation. That's where he went down his whole bit, was trying to reconnect with his daughter.
Yeah, so he has her. Of course, he tells her. I guess he basically tells her she's going to be the vessel to bring his daughter back, and that's when he pulls the sheet back from her, and we see that she is now pregnant.
Bubbly Bailey.
With something, because it is definitely moving around. And for some reason, I want to think, but when it first shows it, did her stomach look square to you guys, or did I just see it wrong?
It kind of did, I think.
It had some interesting shape to it. I felt like it had a pod inside it, something like squarish, almost maybe even rectangular, because it did look like there was a box or something in there, and that maybe was just part of the prosthetics. Maybe it was something moving up and down in its rigid form, but it was freaky looking.
yeah,
All of its fucking design.
Her stomach looked how my stomach feels after eating Taco Bell.
Oh, there you go.
That's all I could think about. I was like, oh god.
It reminded me of the first time that I saw Aliens, whenever Ripley was having that dream sequence in the fucking
Oh
was
yeah.
her belly, and like, holy shit. Hello, my baby. Hello, my dog.
I knew that was coming.
Check, please. Nobody can get to that scene without talking about Spaceballs. You just can't. The Schwartz be with you. But yeah, no, her belly's all fucked up. Taco Bell or whatever. Whatever
you ate the wrong food.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's what happens when you have a volcano taco.
Yeah, so now Daniel, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, they're all going to go into the basement, or they're going to go into the morgue to find his wife, and they need Kim to, I guess, direct them where to go. He gives her a radio.
And they give the old man a gun from
they
got from the old dead sheriff.
Was that previously? Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that was previously. Oh,
yeah.
Before they went down, they left the radio, which is amazing considering none of the fucking radios had worked prior to this.
Yeah.
But now,
I guess it was close enough to work with just his.
Yeah.
The one he has and the one he gives her.
Coming from a walkie-talkie.
Yeah. But I think this is whenever we start to really find out that, like what you were saying before about reality, because
It's a whole different level.
yeah, where she's telling them to go doesn't match up with what they're seeing. So there's other
More corridors.
more corridors. There's
Yeah.
like an extra set of stairs they have to go down.
Yet there's only one set of stairs that exists in the building. A whole lot of mind warping stuff, and it definitely builds up to that because they horror movie cliche split up.
Right.
And I don't recall exactly what happened up until this point with our drug addict guy. I remember him being interrogated.
Oh, they took him with them.
They took him with
yeah,
them.
Yeah, that's
he-
right.
he's
Yeah,
with
that's
them because
right.
they had him handcuffed
Oh,
outside.
because they
in the
questioned him,
hallway.
like, you know,
There
that
was
you've
a
seen this
torture
stuff before.
Yeah, they were going. Yeah, they were going to smash his finger with a hammer, and
Yeah, we forgot about that part.
But he was kind of like their little, like, I guess you could say like a little parakeet. You know how they used to do that back in the day in the mines, you know? If it kills that thing, then we go the other way, you know? So,
He
Yeah,
told
but-
me, he told me, he's like, yeah, doctor's creepy. Yeah, they watch me fuck. Yeah, he actually said that.
we're like,
They
we
watch
don't
me
want your
fuck.
life story. Just get
Yeah.
out.
Right? We don't care what you do in your spare time. We just want to know about what's going on.
You know, they killed people and watched us fuck. And yeah, man, I got drugs.
They kept asking me if I called it
Wait a
in.
minute.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
wait a minute. They sound like they're fun. So why are we
Yeah.
scared?
yeah,
They kept taking me to this place called Burning Man.
They were playing Dark Side of the Moon backwards. It's crazy.
Everybody was super high, wearing hoods.
they were syncing it up with the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
On the dark side of the moon so many times, man. So many times.
And they had an inflatable doll of Angela Lansbury. It's fucking weird, man.
I'm gonna go on record and say this is probably the only horror podcast that has mentioned Angela Lansbury that much. I'm just gonna-
And we're not even a true crime podcast.
The Angela Lansbury Podcast.
And not once have we mentioned bed knobs and broomsticks. Well, I just ruined that. But no, they I did forget. Honestly, I just forgot what happened with the entirety of this character. I guess he is just so inconsequential once he finally gets anything. Because I mean, he's chased, but he doesn't really do anything. He's chased. He's saved. The only moment he has is when he stabs what's his name in the neck, and it makes me wonder if that wasn't, intended. If that's not what
He
the
was
doctor
part of the plan. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was probably the.
because he just basically becomes cannon fodder for the rest of the fucking creatures,
He becomes the fucking group's little bitch. Come here, motherfucker.
Yeah, and what even happens to him? I honestly don't remember what happens to him.
I do, but
Well, there you go.
we're getting to that part.
Oh yeah.
So they're going. They go down that last flight of stairs and they go into what I'm guessing is part of the morgue, and this is when we start to see all of these other like bodies.
Bodies, yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, that's when then it goes
I
back
remember
to the
His
woman,
failed
the doctor. Oh,
What-
man.
and what?
Well, because the Daniel character he finds Allison.
And I
he goes
remember
in.
the father and son separate, and they go to the farmhouse, which was, I guess, their house. The farmhouse from the beginning of the movie was, I guess, their house.
well,
I don't believe it was.
Because I know you see a couple of dead bodies in this house at the beginning of the movie, but they go back to show, because they've alluded to throughout the movie how this has happened to them before. He talks about, you want to go through this thing again, the last time.
They're probably hunting them
Trust
down to another house because they did it to them. Like they killed their part of their family, so they went and hunted them down. I guess that woman. I guess when he ran out of that house and they shot the other woman, I guess they were part of the group that was like going to other houses, killing people or robbing them or something.
I know
Well, see,
what.
There was something else I noticed too, and I don't know how many times it happened, but for a couple of at least one time that I can think of when the son is standing there, like in the basement where they're
Mhm.
at. You see like a flash of his mom behind him holding a baby.
Yeah.
And I only noticed it the one time. It was like the kind of like the Brad Pitt in Fight Club, thing where he flashes.
Tyler
on the
Durden's
screen.
behind
yeah,
him.
he flashes on the screen. But like I said, I noticed it the one time, but I don't know if it happened more than that. If maybe his mom was involved in the cult.
I wondered about that too, because the one thing that I had picked up on throughout the entirety of this movie, at least with most of our survivors up until this point, is there's all one thing that kind of ties them together, and that's guilt about something.
Yeah.
And I know the father seems to blame the son for not being able to protect them, and they allude to it in this scene coming up that something happened. I guess the cult broke in and killed the mother and the daughter, the baby, because you see the dad carrying around the little baby chute. So you see the scene where the mother and baby are killed, and the son's there but couldn't protect them, and the dad, because he was away at the time, I guess working or whatever, blames the son for not being able to protect his mother and sister or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of baby death in this
Right.
fucking movie. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, but whenever, like I said, I guess at the same time that's happened, that's whenever Daniel finds, Allison.
Because they split up the best horror movie trope. They have to split up.
Yeah. And whenever we see her this time, she's not normal now.
Oh wait, before that, they go down to that basement. Says that they've already passed that. The dead bodies came alive.
Yeah,
and that's when the meth dude got eaten, because the cop dude followed him, and that girl was underneath that trash bag or whatever. She was all contorted.
I think the character,
that's right.
The dad character explained it the best way, and I thought he said we're in hell, and that's basically what freaking happens. I mean, they got that one corpse just hammering its head and has a pipe going through it.
Yeah.
And then they blow that thing's head off, and then it was just unleashed hell all around with
Crazy
the coolest.
creatures.
I mean, this part of the movie was the coolest part to me, because I was like, holy shit. I mean, the shit hit the fan literally. I mean, it was a cool scene. I did.
That scene there definitely had the throwbacks to Event Horizon, like you were saying earlier. I think you said that earlier, Billy.
Yeah. Oh, Billy did.
Or I don't remember if it was Poe or Billy, but someone
It
had
was Poe, I think.
Yeah. It has those scenes there are also what made me hearken to me back to Event Horizon and Hellraiser, but even more so with Event Horizon, just because it's a lot more of that visceral body horror.
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses kind of crazy shit. They didn't start doing stuff like that until a little bit later on in the Hellraiser movies,
Yeah.
like 3 and 4 and 5 or whatever. But it definitely harkened back to those good old days. So I dug that shit. I dug that scene. So yeah, I guess I kind of did remember how that asshole died. I do remember those creatures.
He was like, save me. It's like, yeah, I'm going to save you. Okay, later.
We'll see you later, dickhead.
Yeah.
And then gone. But the special effects in that scene, you can tell they put a chunk of change in there. But they also put a chunk of change into the scene that Carrie's talking about when he finally finds Allison, she's kind of okay to start whenever he first starts talking to her, but she's pregnant again. It looks like she was, I guess, on the day that they were about to have their baby, before they lost the baby, whatever. She seemed okay and seemed fine. And that's when our Dr. Powell starts fucking telling him some shit. I mean, he threw a line at him that I actually wrote down, because I remember how cold it was in the beginning, and now I remember how cold it is now. I wrote it down.
Yeah, when he finds her, she's got like shit growing out of her. He's like, isn't she beautiful?
In initially she's fine, but then when he starts fucking with her and tossing that mental manipulation and that fucking mind games, I know you felt relief the night you lost your child.
I lost my child, motherfucker.
Fucked up thing to tell.
Yeah.
It's a fucked up thing to hear.
Yeah.
But he starts with his brain, and then that's when he's, you can have the baby back. She's a mother again and beautiful. And that's when you see all the fucking. Oh, man. That was an ugly. God, that was a badass scene. But that was some ugly looking shit all over the place. Them tentacles out of her everywhere.
Yeah,
She
pretty
was-
much.
Your kid
Look
looks
like some-
just like you, Daniel.
You. And he does, he has a job to do. He's got to do it. He's
He
got
called it in. He called in with an axe.
And
Yep.
I like that part too. Just shows the door closed and you see the silhouette of
The
him.
silhouette of it, yeah.
That is just
makes me wonder, how much of this was an actual thing and how much of it was part of the trickery. Was that shit that happened with her belly something that actually happened, or was that another fucking illusion by the void?
yeah.
And was she actually just there, unconscious, drugged, passed out, and he went and just fucking chopped his wife's head off and she was perfectly fine?
Oh man.
Makes
So many
me wonder.
questions. I mean, this movie it fucks with you, man.
Yeah.
In the greatest way possible, though.
Because you see, as in the scene that runs parallel with this one, the father and son are incited. Well, the father especially is incited to rage and almost kills his son. And if it hadn't been for one of them flares, he probably would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we forgot to mention that they, the father and the son, and this is the scene where the mother is like standing behind him for like a couple of frames. Now all of a sudden, they're visually back in, I guess, their house.
Yeah.
And that's when they got to the farmhouse, and that's when they started.
Mhm.
I guess the trickery started happening, and he started blaming or feeling the guilt for not being able to be there to protect his wife and the baby, and the guilt of having this son who didn't do enough. I don't know where that would have come from, but that's, I guess, rationalizing a terrible tragedy.
Right.
But I really feel like the void, as it gets closer to tearing into reality, plays with our reality more and more, and makes things be there that shouldn't be there. Case in point, the mom that's obviously dead, but then you see her behind him for a second, and they're in that fucking other house.
Yeah.
Reality's tearing and warping, and it's doing what it needs to do, which I think maybe in part had a lot to do with, or I say a lot, but I think had a lot to do with the nurse who went crazy and the visions that our main character's been seeing throughout the movie. I think those things played into the eventual ability to turn, or maybe their susceptibility. Maybe the weaker minds were the first ones to be manipulated. Or maybe that nurse was subliminally in the cult and just didn't realize it. Maybe she was just one of the bodies that was being sexied up in those Polaroid photos, and she just had no idea. Same thing with our drug guy. Maybe that's why she wanted to kill him, because he was, boning her in those pictures.
Good ass. He was the key to. He was the cure, and they let him die.
It was something.
Yeah. So after all that, so Daniel finally makes it into, I don't know, again, we see this brown door with the black triangle on it, just like we did in the picture, just like we saw at the farmhouse at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And when he goes in, we see a gigantic triangle on the wall. We see two of the hooded figures.
Hey, we skipped a part. You know that
Oh, did we? Okay, what did we skip?
the grandpa died. The twist. His granddaughter, she starts going into labor, and Kim was like reading up because she's bleeding everywhere, and those hooded figures start breaking into the hospital.
Yeah, the granddaughter was saying it's time, it's coming, this, that, and the other. The hooded figures start breaking in, and they look like they're gonna fucking kill everybody.
Yeah, she kills the grandpa. She's got like a crazy smile on her face.
Yeah.
I guess the doctor fucked her. Got her pregnant.
Yeah. So, and they do allude to that here in a second, but you don't. She tells a story whenever she's chasing our Miss Kim character around the hospital, because this Miss Kim's a badass. She fucking outruns this crazy Mother Maggie broad.
Yeah.
Where she's telling her, Dr. Powell knew it was the only way. I'm the vessel for his rebirth, and she's gonna be so happy in me, and this, that, and the other. And yeah, apparently it was, like you said, it was old 55-year-old Dr. Van Dyke that's been Dr. Van Dicking her down.
That's right. So then we go back to Daniel seeing that. Kim gets away. She's fine.
Yeah, she's hiding in the closet. Yeah.
Daniel sees that. We go back to Daniel. He sees that that triangle on the wall. And he hears Dr. Powell's voice. He's like, "You still don't get it?" And he's like, "No, I guess I don't."
And then
he steps out. Dr. Powell steps out, and like all of his skin is gone.
Yeah, he looked like the Julia. It looks like Julia and Frank escaped hell from the Cinnabon, except instead of all bloody, it's all black.
Because there's a few things added to it too. Like, he looks a little bit more than just skin peeled off. Like, his face is kind of got some demonic ridges and brow bits.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like it's transformed a bit.
I'm gonna tell you what it reminded me of, and this was another movie that influenced this movie, The Prince of Darkness.
Not absolutely. Thank you. Dude,
whenever the girl. When she's in the mirror, the way that her face is kind of like the skin's kind of melted off, but blackish a little bit.
Yeah.
What it kind of reminded me of.
So much of this movie is inspired by Prince of Darkness. I mean, especially the ending, without giving away too much of the ending ahead. But if you've seen Prince of Darkness, great. If you haven't seen Prince of Darkness, go check out the Poe and Grimm podcast. I have 2 words for it.
Jesus.
No, yes, you're absolutely right. I felt that too. I felt that creature, and for some odd reason, just because I've been on a big kick for it here lately, it reminded me of the Wishmaster from like the 2nd or 3rd Wishmaster. That kind of just, it was weird looking.
I thought he would have made a kick-ass Skeletor. I mean, he just looked. Frank Langella, he did a good job, on Masters of the Universe, but I think he would have looked really cool with this, makeup.
This Dr. Powell would have been a hell of a Skeletor.
Yeah, he would have. He was just missing all the gold-plated armor.
That's right.
If not Skeletor, he would have definitely done a bang-up job as Mum-Ra.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
Mum-Ra.
He would.
Mum-Ra. Mum-Ra.
So Daniel's talking to he's slowly walking up, towards the doctor. And of course the doctor is telling him, exposition. And that's whenever Daniel gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah, this part kind of like lost in the way he was talking. Like, he was like talking a bunch of crazy shit. I was like, what is he talking about? I was like, what does he mean? What's he doing? This guy took too much acid. He's like, there's only one thing I have to do now. It'll be complete or something. And then Daniel gets stabbed by the smiling crazy woman.
Right. And I wonder if as many times as they stab a sheriff in this fucking movie, if they weren't inspired by the 1st or 2nd Scream movie at all.
Deputy Dewey.
So yeah, I feel bad for the girl because like when she does that, he falls down, and he's like, she like gets in front of Dr. Powell, and he's like, "Watch, I'm gonna have I can't remember what he called the triangle. Called it something. So I'm gonna have it open in front of me, and he says these weird words, and it starts opening, and then we go to like another kind of like a trippy scene.
Yeah.
In a way, and then.
Oh, it was a lot more than a way. It was definitely.
Yeah.
I felt this movie has a lot of movies that I think inspired it, which we talked about earlier. All those old movies that inspire us to talk about these movies inspired these guys in their direction of it, because it definitely had some altered states feel to it.
Yeah.
That kind of weird, trippy, slightly religious, slightly not cultish. I mean, that vivid imagery definitely made me feel altered states. And I mean, obviously all the implied drugs these people had to have been doing before they came up with this idea.
I mean, you gotta be pretty freaking high to cut off all your skin. I'm just gonna say
that.
Real.
Yeah, you
It's probably on
definitely
bath
have to
salts.
be on something.
a lot of bath salts.
A whole lot of bath salts.
Yeah.
It's like
we're out of
Goldberg saving
protein.
himself for himself.
Well, we got these bath salts. Should we give these bath salts to the patients? Totally perfect.
Yeah, bath salt cures everything.
Trump milk is perfect.
Yeah. So after after he gets stabbed, I'm trying to remember what happens to the pregnant girl.
I
Oh
remember
no! See, she's like,
this
he
part.
comes out of the thing after the trippy scene, and she's like, "Come bless my child," or "Bless my baby,"
Yeah.
and he gets in front of her, and
He
I can't remember. Touches her.
He touches her head, and it's like it brings her normal self back. It freaks her out.
Yeah,
she
she's
like
like
jumps back.
screaming.
She's like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god! Where the hell am I?" And all the Skeletors in front of me, and all this shit. And so that's what happens with that.
Yeah, she had to like scream and then looking back at the fucking sheriff, and I'd be like, "Bitch, you fucking stab me. Go ahead and fucking die." And she's like screaming, and like the fucking thing comes out of her stomach.
Yeah.
She falls to the ground, and her fucking, not even her stomach as much, but like straight chest bursts out of this chick's midsection. This gigantic Angela Lansbury looking thing.
Call it the
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury monster.
And as soon as this happens, here comes father and son to save the day.
Which,
And what happened? Did like all the hooded people just have like a brain aneurysm and faint? Because they all faint. They just like all lay down like, ooh,
Yeah,
after
like,
that monster appears. His
yeah,
daughter.
the monster's like, boop, they're dead. Yeah, because it squashes one of them.
Yeah, it steps on one of its head. Yeah.
And then the father and son start shooting at it and stuff, and then it chases them.
Yeah.
Now for not very long, and then it gets hold of the father. The son ends up cutting the tentacle off it, and then ends up grabbing him. He gets away.
and
then
the Holy
totally
Ghost.
lost the father. Yeah.
Yeah. Then
Holy Ghost.
the father starts dumping the rubbing alcohol that he got from that.
Oh,
the
from
medicine
the
room.
earlier,
He
yeah.
starts dumping that on him, and he's telling the son, just go ahead and.
Yeah, 'cause they were blowing it. They were like blowing its head off, and it was like still coming. I don't know how many times they shot with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then
Unnerving. The fucking
then-
noise that creature made. Holy fuck.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
The look of it was creepy.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh god damn. Oh, that thing
And
was
then-
creepy.
Yeah, then at the same time, Daniel, back in the other room, grabs jumps towards the doctor, and they both go into the triangle.
And this part
Um,
confused me.
yeah, definitely. It was a bit of confusing too, but it, that kind of goes with some of the ending of Jesus. We were just talking about it a second ago.
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, because goes with the ending of Prince of Darkness too, because he gave him the choice of I can give her back to you, and I can make it all right. It'll be a beautiful world, and all you have to do is beg, and all that kind of weird stuff through the giant giant pyramid of light, which was a cool effect. If there was any CG in the movie, it might have been that, but it was certainly badass looking.
Oh,
Yeah.
But he said, "Oh no, fuck that," and he Goldbergs him through the.
Yeah, he says, yes, yes.
He gets a second
Yes.
win.
And then, well, what's crazy is like it goes back to them. Well, it goes back to everything starts caving in the hospital and the
Well,
son,
it goes back to the father and the son, and that's
Yeah.
whenever he sets his, he sets his father and the creature on fire.
and he had to
and
go
then-
like a
All
vent.
it did was fucking kill his dad because it did
Yeah.
just to the creature.
Yeah, no shit.
He gets into like an air vent thing, and he's it's not really an air vent because it's on the floor, but now he's crawling through, and I think something else starts chasing him.
Well, it's the creature again.
Yeah,
That's
it's the
the,
creature,
The
yeah.
same creature shows up and it's chasing him, and he notices like the
hallways.
walls are starting to like
Yeah.
collapse in.
Everything's
come in.
falling. And he's like sees the wall closing. He barely gets through it.
Yeah, well, he has to radio C-3PO and have him close,
Yeah.
shut down all the garbage compactors.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another fucking shout out to the Hellraiser movie for sure. The damn ending of Hellraiser had that
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah, when she was a part two, when she's running.
Kirsty. Yeah. And this part gets me is like when it goes back to Daniel, he's with Allison, and then
Well, no, that's
like
after.
Doctor.
That's after because it shows.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
the
he
sun.
finds-
The sun gets
yeah.
out. The wall closes, and we realize,
Or-
in reality, there wasn't anything there. And he goes through the rest of the hospital. And he hears something in the closet. So he's gonna
Almost
like.
gets fucking
Yeah. So he's
Oh.
gonna, he slowly opens, and here comes Kim swinging the axe. Of course, he stops her, and they hug for a minute, and realize it's all over. And it cuts to like an outside shot, exterior shot. It's the sun's starting to rise,
Yeah.
and you think, okay, that's the end of the movie. It's over with. But then it cuts to the other world, I guess,
The Daniel
inside the triangle where the tall man's from,
Yeah.
and
I expected to see, Spider-Man and Star-Lord fighting
Yeah.
Thanos in the background. Like they ended up in the Marvel universe by
Yeah.
accident.
we see Daniel, and of course
Allison.
he's not bleeding now. He's not bleeding from anywhere in the back or anything. And we see Allison; she's back to normal.
Yeah, it's so confused me. I was like, where the fuck she come from, and where's Dr. Dyke?
Yeah,
well,
Dr. Dick Van Dyke.
and that that just takes me in my thought with how much of this movie or how many of the things in this movie actually happen, because they're the only two people you see in this vast wasteland and this giant pyramid coming through the clouds. You don't see Father, you don't see the state trooper or the nurse or any of these other people, which makes me wonder if she was already dead and he just destroyed the creature, so that's why he was a somewhat clean soul. But the father wouldn't be a clean soul because he killed that girl in the beginning of the movie, and maybe one of the other people in the house. So the people, if you look through the movie, those that died, except for maybe Grandpa Ben, but who knows what he did in his previous life.
Yeah.
All I know is I heard the guitar solo from Comfortably Numb going on in the background when they're up.
Right?
yeah, because whenever it shows what they're both Daniel and Allison, they're both looking up, and in the sky there's just a big black triangle, which is what he saw in his vision after he got stabbed.
What
So
if
I'm just
that's
wondering
what
what
heaven
other
looks like?
or just what other kind of connection does he have to it?
It really does make me wonder, because of the Doctor himself and the relationship that he had with both of these characters, how much of a part of this were they, and they didn't know it because he was having those visions throughout. Nobody else seemed to describe or talk about having those visions.
Well, there was another thing too, is the doctor and the sheriff both mention how his father would be disappointed in him. I just wonder if maybe his father wasn't part of the original cult.
Oh, he was. I think because Dr. Dick Van Dyke was like, your father gladly died or something like that. And then he said so did your child or something for me. That's what he said. Your father died for me, and so did your child. He does mention that when he's talking to him.
Well, and that I think that will probably be this movie's one of the two main testaments this movie will have throughout time that will stand the test of time. A later released movie, a 2010s movie released with incredible practical effects and leaves you with more fucking questions about what happened than before you started.
Yeah.
For some people, that may frustrate them. For me, I enjoy it. I like
talking about
movies forever in theory or whatever. And I certainly will be doing this. I'll be doing that with the Void for years to come because there is no sequel planned. The director said they have no intention of explaining jack and or shit.
Right. Well, right here on IMDb, it says that the filmmakers say they initially leave the Black Pyramid and much of the cult as a mystery for viewers to use their own imagination and create their own explanation/theories.
And I think they succeeded in that.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Good movies do that. It leaves it up to you. You are left better enjoying, I think, whatever you're reading or watching or whatever the case, if you have to try and piece together at the end. Too many people nowadays have to have it spelled out for them and explained throughout in an entire movie. Well, this is why this is happening. Here's the expositional reason for you dum-dums.
Just like the ending of No Country for Old Men, you just hear that story by Tommy Lee Jones, and then it ends.
Right.
It's like, what?
Fuck happened, huh? Or, Big Lebowski, if we're going to go on the Coen brothers. It ends for the sake of ending. It takes this movie, though, and it's incredibly different from those movies. It has that same bit. It begins on an incredible, what the fuck is going on? Why did that guy shoot that lady? Why is she burning? Why did he murder? Oh my God. Why did they not watch that episode of Mythbusters all the way?
Yeah.
Well,
What the fuck is going on? Why didn't they consult Bob Vila or, Ash Williams about this?
Right.
Well, what I took away from it is, I know we talked about this all through it, but I know we all could tell that these guys were, horror fans. They took a lot of elements from different movies. They mixed it up. Like William said, love more questions than answers. They want you to use your imagination. And all I got to say is people that are making horror movies nowadays, go to this movie and take some damn notes. Don't remake shit. Don't try to make it better with, high dollar, effects and all that. So this movie, it's awesome, and it's creative. And I think that's why everybody's digging Jordan Peele's stuff right now. It's different. You hadn't seen it. It's creative,
Yeah.
All right. So that sounds like we all really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I did.
So I guess
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So I guess we all recommend everybody listening to watch this movie.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. If you heard just a few months ago, this, we kind of briefly touched on it, but this movie was on my favorite movies seen in 2018. I had not seen it in 2017 when I guess it had its more widespread release and did not get to see it until last year. But I love this movie. It takes me back to the good old days.
Oh, yeah.
It's an incredible story that really doesn't have a lot to it. I mean, it's lacking. It's missing a whole bunch of parts of the plot and the holes, but oh God, I loved those old pick your own adventure books, and this it's that same thing. You can pick your own ending. Did he kill her? Did he not kill her? Are they in hell? Is it will it happen again? Is this cult over? Are those things going to come back? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, me too. So Billy, what was your final thoughts on it here?
Special effects, top notch. Like I said, it's confusing in some parts, some of the acting, but overall, it was a fun and enjoyable film.
There you go. All right. So I know it's getting kind of late here, and some of us have to get up early. Anything new that you guys have seen recently you want to, give a shout out to, or?
That new trailer about that guy collecting monster skulls. Oh.
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that one either. Sounds
hang
intriguing,
on.
though.
I'm trying to remember. It was like, apparently it's like kind of low budget. Apparently it's like, it looks really good. I'm trying to remember. Monster.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm going to mention that I have watched all but one episode of, I think it's called Death, Love, and Robots.
Oh my God, I want to see it. I know, it's in my queue, dude.
I am intrigued to see it as well. I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of robots, but I'm definitely a big fan of animation, and it looks real fucking interesting.
Yeah, it has some of the best animation that I've seen in a long time.
That's awesome.
And I'm gonna say there's maybe, and each story is only like 17 minutes long. They're all under 18 minutes. I'll say it that way. And I pretty much liked all of them. There's some funny ones. There's some, and of course they're all bloody, gory, a lot of nudity, but it's really good. So I definitely recommend that one.
Excellent. Well, what about you, Mr. Poe?
I'm looking forward to. I want to see the show that they're coming out with. It kind of goes off with that character. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of Denzel Washington's character in The Bone Collector, but they're going to have a show about that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What's that going to be on?
I'm not sure. I just read a little, you know how we scroll through our phones and stuff, and I saw that, and I just kind of read into it a little bit, and I thought, well, finally,
Right.
But it's going to be pre that movie. You know what I mean? It's going to follow that detective on all those different cases. So I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Detective Lincoln Rhyme.
There you go. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. I hope it does come out. You know how sometimes they kind of throw stuff out there and it doesn't pan through?
Right.
But I hope this one does. So I'm definitely keeping my eye out for that. Like you said, Love, Sex, Robots. And I think that's it for me.
All right. Grimm, what do you got?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, Billy, if you got something you want to...
No, I just a trailer's called Headhunter.
Headhunter.
The Headhunter. It takes place in medieval time.
Oh, cool.
I think
like the restaurant?
Yeah.
Just a maniac going through slicing people's heads off. Oh, I have a Pepsi. Whoa, shit.
Talk about a sequel to Sorority Sisters and Sleazeball Slime Ball. Right? There is actually a movie coming out at the end of this month. Actually, March 1st. I take that back. A movie called The Hole in the Ground. I caught the trailer for this thing the other day, and it really, really, really has me intrigued. But the basic plot, the synopsis. Go ahead.
No, I said cool, but go ahead. Keep going.
The basic plot synopsis on this is a young mother recently relocated to a remote house in Ireland near a forest, discovers a massive hole in the ground. I mean, hence, roll credits. But she begins to suspect that her son is different. He's been replaced by a changeling after he seemingly disappeared into that massive hole. And this fucking hole, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, it's getting some up there with Hereditary praise, but I mean, it's not as good as Hereditary apparently. But it looks intriguing. You got to check out the trailer for that one. And
yeah, A24 is releasing it. And A24 is very stellar, I think, when it comes to releasing movies.
I like A24. They're part of the Mo family. But there's another one that I actually told Poe about the other day, or last week or something like that. One that I just saw a trailer for called Ma, M-A. And this
Octavia Spencer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one had some fucking shit that the...
Did we just lose somebody?
I think we did.
Aw.
Oh, shit. All right, here he comes.
Is he back? We got a lot of static going on here. It's the void, is what it is.
The void took.
The void took him.
Skeletor
No!
came out of.
Angela Lansbury's like, I'm not dead yet.
Oh man, you can cut this part out.
No, I'm gonna leave this stuff in. This is the good stuff.
All right, since we talked
We're
about
gonna
Carrie,
show people we're not perfect.
since we talked about Carrie, now that Mr. Grimm's gone,
We can talk about him. Yeah.
yeah.
I can see he's still on there. He's still talking because it's like it lights up every time he talks, but you just can't hear him anymore.
Oh man.
Well, let's go ahead and do this. Just as like an announcement. So this Friday, we don't know. I don't know what time yet. We'll get with that, and I'll post at the time. But this Friday will be the.
Nope.
Oh, is he there?
Here!
Yay!
Oh.
Yeah. How was the void?
Yeah.
I can't tell you the things that Angela Lansbury did to me because she'll come back and do them to you. But she told me to tell you, if you don't go out and watch that new hit movie Ma, you'll all be very sorry. Very sorry.
I thought
So
you were
the-
coming back with like Sodomy She Wrote or something.
So the
That's what I
guy
wrote.
the guy who's doing them all did Winter's Bone and Get On Up, which are very highly rated movies.
And Winter's Bone is what I was doing with Angela Lansbury in The Void.
Winter's Bone.
I kind of overheard, though I could not, speak to it. You were talking about something here a second ago.
Yeah, coming up this Friday, and like I said, I don't know what time yet, but it'll be I guess the premiere episode of the I guess it'll be unnamed right now, but it's going to be myself and Mr. Poe. We're going to be live streaming Friday the 13th, the game. And I haven't decided yet. I do have a Mixer account, but I think probably a lot more people use Twitch, so it'll probably be on Twitch, is what I'm thinking.
We've got a Twitch account set up, as it were, already for the Poe and Grimm podcast, and we can go through there. Just because everybody loves Twitch, a lot of people use. I think it's become hell, there's advertisements for Twitch. You can get smart TVs with Twitch on it now, so it's
correct. Yeah. Yes, I think that's probably what we'll be on. But yeah, like I said, that'll be this Friday.
Hell yeah.
We haven't worked out the details of the time yet, but as
It's
soon as
the
we
game,
do,
the movie, the game.
the
Yes.
game. Yeah, we're gonna be
Friday the
playing Friday 13th, the
the
game.
game.
Oh, Friday the 13th, the game. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Friday 13th, the
13th.
movie. The
I
game.
did have it like the game. I mean, when it first came out, I had it for online, and I didn't get to be Jason once, man.
well.
Well, when it first came out, I will say this. I liked the graphics and everything, but when it first came out, it was terrible to be online with. And that's just because the overwhelming, everybody was on those servers.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd be Jason and it glitched me out, and I'd get so pissed off.
It had a lot of issues back in its initial day. I myself, I fucking love this game. I was one of the backers from the first opportunity to do so. I backed this game way back in the day and have been on board all the way throughout. I got my little Friday the 13th, the game magnet on the fridge. I got my special collector's edition poster.
Hell yeah.
I fucking love this game. And actually, I'm not going to say I'm like good friends with, but I'm on reasonable speaking terms with Wes Keltner, one of the co-creators of the game. He's a hell of a cool dude. And let me tell you, man, it breaks their heart that they're not able to make anything for the game in the future. But I played the hell out of this game, much like you. Although I I stuck to my guns and I played through all them shitty servers and terrible trolley players, and I played through all that, and now I've gotten to the point that I play it just for the nostalgia and the love. There's nothing new that's going to come out for it, at least not immediately.
Yeah.
So I played for the nostalgia and the. I've got all the characters unlocked minus Savini Jason. That's the only one that I don't have. But
you know what I would love to see, and it may be in it, I don't know, but I would love to see if they had an unlockable 8-bit Jason from the original NES game.
They do.
Do they?
And I have that one, yeah.
They kind of do. And he even has his own little theme music that's played by... It's a little song called Return to Camp Blood by a guy named Mitch Murder. That's actually, I got that ringtone on my phone. But it's a little MIDI version of that song from the original video game. Not the exact song, but pretty close to it.
Yeah,
I mean, we have a punk band here called the Jasons.
The Jasons, yeah.
Yeah, they wear Jason masks. They play punk rock.
That's pretty cool. Well, so we will be streaming, but I know some of our family with 1313 Inc. They have different systems.
They have the PS4s.
We have the Superior system, and
we've got things with missile guidance systems in them.
Yeah, but so those guys want to get together and maybe stream their own game.
Yes,
and they could do that.
We certainly could do that. I have a personal Twitch account that, though it is not part of the Poe and Grimm podcast, it is part of the Poe and Grimm podcast because it's Grimm's own. I just got to get a new name on it. Ultimately, I want to call it something else.
To make sure I still got internet on my PS4 because it's
I know we want to have just a Twitch channel for like channel 13, right?
Yeah. I think if I do the Twitch account, that's what it'll be on. But like I said, once we get the details worked out, we'll make the announcement well before Friday. So
hell
yeah. The recent game I bought was the Resident Evil 2 remake game.
Cool.
The game's pretty awesome.
It is pretty good.
And there's a bunch of other horror games that I do enjoy playing: Alien Isolation, Dead by Daylight, Last of Us. At some point in time, I'll have to get on my old PlayStation 3 and play some Splatterhouse. I know Poe just talked about Splatterhouse 2 with the guys from Secret Levels. So,
and I got a PS3, so we can play some other horror, classic horror games. We can stream those,
I want them to remake that game for the 64, The Suffering.
Oh yeah! Oh man, I played the hell out of those, dude.
Or was it Xbox? No, it was Xbox. I think it was Xbox. Yeah, called The Suffering.
That was an Xbox game. One game that I want, not even a remake, just a fucking sequel to, was a Nintendo GameCube game, Eternal Darkness.
Luigi's Mansion. Oh, sorry.
Apparently they did. There's like 3 of them. Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming out soon. I didn't even know there was a part fucking 2.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. That is a fucking incredible game that if you've never heard of, never played, never whatever, you owe it to yourself to watch somebody play it through with no commentary. You have to experience it because this game used to fuck me up. And it did it on purpose. Just look into it. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Cool.
It's worth it. But yeah, we'll figure out a way to get online and Twitch our stuffs and tweet our stuffs. And by the way, speaking of tweets and Twitters, if you do not know how to get a hold of Mr. Poe or Grimm here, we can be found online at Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @GrimmPoe. We also have a email address if you so desire to shoot us an email. We can be found at pogrimpodcast@gmail.com or pogrimtwitter@gmail.com. And we also got a Facebook group that Mr. Poe is always doing awesome stuff with. What's our Facebook group all about, Mr. Poe?
Well, I post different things, what we're doing, just pictures or any kind of movie posters to do with our episode for the week. But I also want to shout out the Channel 13. I know both of our shows, we're going to be putting more stuff on there. We're going to be streaming games. We'll even do some watch parties for movies and stuff. But you can find us on there, and I know we want to grow this channel 13.
Oh yeah.
And where can they find you at, Billy? If anybody wants to yell at you for
They
saying
can
the wrong
find me at Asphalt Wizard on was that Twitter?
on the Twitter.
On the Twitter.
Okay.
Yes.
On the
And
Twitter.
you can find me on Twitter at 1313 Inc. And again, our podcast from Beneath is on Twitter, and we're on Instagram and Facebook, and what else is there? Snapchat.
Soon to be on Pornhub.
Pornhub
Nice.
coming soon. Yes.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. Is the past tense of tweet? Is it twat?
What?
It should be.
Okay.
I
It
wanted that
will be.
years ago. It was no
It will
biggie.
be.
You should have seen what I took this morning. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. I twat all over the place.
I do want to say something else. I really appreciate y'all inviting us over here again to be a part of this. We love watching these movies. I'm glad you decided to cover this one because I probably would have just had it in my queue still and not watched it. And I'm glad I got to experience it and then talk on your show about it.
Oh yeah, this one, and then of course last week when we just had Grimm on, it was another hidden gem that we were. It was an awesome find, just an awesome find. We should talk about that movie again. I would love to talk about it again.
I'm hopeful that we get a sequel. That's just really where I'm going.
Yeah.
Or a prequel, I think we determined would be a bit more fun. Let's go with a prequel. Let's see what happened with old Jedediah Weed or whatever his name was. Let's see what happened with him long before he got to that sleepy Mississippi town and had to pull that DB Cooper out of his plane.
Well, before I leave, there's a movie that I've been waiting to finally it's being made. It's not really horror. It's a very brutal Western. It's made from the guy that did Brawl and Cell Block 99. He did Bone Tomahawk. He did that Dragged Against Concrete. He wrote the script, and it's gonna have the director of Old Boy directing it. And it's called the Bergans or something of Rattle Creek. It's about this sheriff and doctor hunting these two guys who terrorize and rob their town during a thunderstorm. It's supposed to be very brutal, very brutal. If y'all haven't seen Bone Tomahawk or Brawl and Cell Block 99, y'all need to check those movies out because Bone Tomahawk is a horror western. It has Kurt Russell as Patrick Wilson. It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, not to take away from Grimm, but if you haven't seen those movies, then fuck you.
Yeah.
You ain't taking nothing away. Good praise is wonderful in any language.
Yeah. So where can they find your podcast at?
Everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We a number of spots, more so than others, but predominantly I say you could find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Podbean. Also on the YouTubes, our episodes get uploaded to the YouTubes. But I'd say those three are our biggest in the bouquet is Apple Podcasts, Google,
and coming soon, William running up to random strangers, tackling them, and making them listen.
That's right.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
If I've got to give away a fucking itty bitty MP3 player to all of these motherfuckers, I will do it. I will straight go just like he did in the movie, and put a word in their ear. You're gonna hear it.
I'll have links to everything in the show notes, so we'll have everything covered there. Thank you guys again for joining us. For this,
thank you.
Yeah, for this one, thanks to Grimm again for last week. Again, and hopefully we can do this again with everybody as soon as whenever Eric gets back. And
speaking of, when is old Eazy-E making his way back down? I'm sure he's had enough bear rapery by now.
No. I know that the next episode he said he could be on would be the week of the 29th. So.
Oh, okay. He'll come back from the void.
Must be not that kind of a vacation.
Hey, Carrie, when are we gonna do it?
That'll be next week.
Next week. Okay. When I mean it, I mean sex.
Yeah.
And now you get the meaning of where a podcast from beneath comes from.
Yeah.
That's right.
They're very close.
So again, thank both of you guys for being on here. This is probably
Yes,
going to be
sir.
the longest episode ever. We're currently at 2 hours and 4 minutes, but
Nice.
So it's just like an average Poe and Grimm podcast.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
We
but
don't
again,
stop over there.
yeah, awesome movie. You guys were awesome. Thanks
Thank you.
again. And
We- Last. And I hope more people that hear about this movie and watch it, the more love will be given, and maybe, just maybe, enough of a hair will be tickled on either one of these fellas' assholes to get us a sequel, prequel, some other movie in the same universe. I want to see more from this universe.
yes.
Some way. I want to see more. Give us more!
More.
You know what? Fucking Eric's up there in Canada. Maybe you should talk to these guys while he's up there.
There you go.
Yeah, do it.
Do it. It's the Void 2. 2 Void.
Void 2, Angela's Revenge.
Angela's Revenge.
All right, guys. I'm going to get off
All
here.
Yeah, me too.
right.
It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you guys again.
Yes, sir.
And we'll do this again next week.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.